Well, we live in a time where we have sensory overload, and most people think the right thing to do is just cram more information uh, uh, in the message. And actually, never before have we needed more human contact. You know, we're more connected than ever before in history. We have more information at our fingertips than we ever had, and yet something is fundamentally missing from the way we connect with each other as human beings. And I think you'll find with a lot of young people that they've got more friends than anyone could ever want in history. But when it comes to real friends, they're becoming rather introverted as a generation. And I think my job is to reconnect us with the people who hold a position of influence. And I think we've been branded for too long. We've been presented images of hype, marketing, even propaganda. And I think it's about time we got a sense of truth from our cultural heroes. Who are you really? And what is it really like to connect with you as a human being? And it's never the whole truth. It's only a true moment. But I do try to reach the truth. The problem with the word style is that it implies an applied surface.
Okay.
And when you become a real artist is when you start speaking from your heart as well as your mind. And you start reacting with a sense of humility and honesty. So it's very difficult to talk about the way my pictures look because it really is an extension of me. Everything in a Platon picture is just part of who I am. But there are a few key things that I do go for. I'm extremely dyslexic, so I can't even type, right? Most things that normal people can do, I can't do. So instead of seeing my disabilities as a kind of barrier in society, I had a good look at myself and I figured out that there's some things that I can do that other people can't do. And so the first thing is that I see the world in a very complex way. And like those posters on the wall to me is just visual anarchy. So I need to strip things down to simplicity so that I can understand it. The first thing I do is isolate the person from their environment for no other reason that it just helps me zoom into the details of who they are. So the simpler it is, the better for me. And it just turns out that the simpler it is for everyone, the better it is. The clearer, the more concise the message is. And if you've got no distractions, then you're really going to see the detail of someone raising their eyebrow or a flick of the finger as a gesture. And this is actually very revealing of the person's honest character. So to strip things away is really important. And my father was an architect, so I was brought up as a modernist. And modernists like the idea of form follows function, and that less is more. And so you shouldn't overclutter it. You shouldn't add things there that don't belong there. And I'm a cultural provocateur too. I always like to push buttons, and I'm actually more comfortable in a dangerous zone than in a safe zone. And it's that feeling of being in trouble with your head teacher when you're at school. That's kind of my life. I'm very respectful to people, but I have a deep lack of trust in authority. And I never thought that would be a major qualification for a career. And so when I'm with someone of influence, I'm not disrespectful, but I will not allow their power to intimidate me in any way. I believe we're all equal people. We all have the same rights. We all have the same right to be on this planet. And I understand that some people have a very responsible position in authority, but I am just as reverent to an ordinary person on the street like me or you or anybody else in this room. So I don't like the idea that we put someone on a pedestal and think they're somehow more than us. They just have a different job. And my job is to tip the balance, celebrate people who perhaps have had freedom taken away from them, and bring the people of influence down to our level so that we can understand them and communicate with them. The truth is there is no gimmick, right? You have to go in raw every time. And there's no tricks of the trade. You just have to go in respectful and highly tuned with your senses. As soon as someone walks in the room, the information starts coming at you like an express train, and you just have to start reading it. The first thing you do is the handshake, right? So the handshake is a universe of information. I can give you two examples of two people that you'll all be very familiar with. So you've got meeting President Clinton or meeting Barack Obama, President Obama. So very different people. So you meet Clinton and his hands are massive, right? And so when he goes to shake your hand, the hand comes out, and as he grabs your hand, the other hand grabs your elbow and pulls you in. So it's like, oh my God, I'm going in. Right? It's seduction incorporated. Everybody says it, men, women, whoever he meets, he has this power over people that's welcome, come in. Now, Obama's very different. Obama seems to be the type of person that really cares that you're all feeling good in the room. And he's very aware that when you meet him as a president, you're going to be slightly rattled that you're about to meet probably the most powerful person on the planet. And he doesn't want you to feel embarrassed or awkward. And there's nothing worse when you're nervous, you get clumsy. And if you go to shake someone's hand, if you're clumsy, you might end up grabbing their thumb by mistake. Or I've done all that, folks. I've done all that. So what does he do? He helps you out. As he walks in the room, he starts the handshake from miles away. And it starts here, and he says, here it is. It's coming. And as he starts, hey, how you doing? And he's holding it out way before you're ready to shake it. So you can see it. So it's like landing the most beautiful aeroplane on the planet. It's like, here we go, here it is. And by the time you actually grab his hand, you've had a chance to settle, you've aimed your hand, and it's perfect. And then what does that do? It makes you feel, all right, I'm cool, I'm in control, I haven't flustered, and that sets a different tone. So you have seduction against sort of reaching out and trying to find a common humanity in the room. Very different people, but both use their personalities to get the most from the meeting they're about to have. Now, I'm joking around when I meet them or anyone else meets them, but you go into a serious bilateral meeting with another politician, perhaps who's an adversary. You then need these skills to bring people to the table, and this is how it works. I mean, I'm the most unacademic, unintellectual person clearly you're ever going to meet, but I'm a street. I have the street smart, and I read people from the hip. So I don't read too many books on psychology. My experience comes from meeting people and engaging with them, whether it's a president or it's a civil rights activist, or whether it's someone in the Egyptian revolution in the front line of danger. I think I've just been warming up all my life. I think the next project or the next few years are really, really important. And I am aware that I won't be able to do this forever. It's brutal on the system, psychologically and physically. And I always come back from a mission, like if I've been to the Egyptian revolution or in Burma, being chased by secret police for 9 hours, it ain't fun, brother. So I always come back a bit traumatized from these sort of humanitarian missions, and I know that I can't do this in 15 years' time as aggressively as I'm doing this now. But then it's appropriate, and I'll be doing something else. But as a photographer, my senses are finely tuned right now, and I've probably got like 10 years, and then it's all over. Well, I shoot film, okay. So I'm probably the last photographer who shoots film in the business, or one of them. And so you do have to make a commitment. You do have to decide what the tone or the feeling of the picture, black and white or colour, on the set. You know, why choose one against the other? It's really down to storytelling. I mean, I'm not really a photographer at all. I'm a storyteller. That's all I care about. I don't really care about the gimmicks of photography. It's really boring to me. All I care about is the feeling, and did it work? Did it reach you? Did it provoke you? Did it maybe change your perception? Did it make you think? Did it stir you enough to tell someone you know that they should look at it, and maybe they're stirred too? So that's all I care about when it comes to black and white or colour. You know, you just have to choose the grammar that tells your message in the best way. So black and white. I did a portrait of Barack Obama, a headshot. It had to be black and white, because black and white describes texture, and you know, he's got the most amazing skin. You know, there are a few grey hairs in his hair already. Now there's a lot more, and you want to reach out and touch it, right? The fabric of his clothes. When I worked with Putin, it was very different. It was an atmosphere. It was cold. I felt like everything is just this icy cyan blue. I felt I was in a fridge. So it's natural that the colour spectrum was important. And it wasn't so much about texture. It was about the feeling of like his cold eyes, the cold background. Everything was sort of almost, you know, harking back to the Cold War, you know. So you're just going, you know, like an artist. You know, how does Van Gogh choose, you know, a sky that's more swirly, or you know, if you look at Van Gogh's pictures, you know how hands get a bit distorted, and I mean, this is just an artist using what's in their feelings. And maybe you don't realise it as a viewer what's going on, but there's a whole grammar, there's a whole language of things that make you feel the way you feel when you look at a picture. And that's how an artist is working. A musician is the same. You know, why does Sgt. Pepper sound the way it does? You know, why is that? What made Michael Jackson very interesting? What was it that moved people? He's a musician like anyone else, but there was something different. And it's that something different that pushes the buttons of our society. People have said, this is the greatest country in the world. I don't think there is such a thing. You know, I think there's no such place. There's no such people. I think everywhere is a mixture of beauty and horror. And it's a whole spectrum. And so I've had the most amazing moments in countries that are just traumatized by bad leadership. And I've had terrible moments in a place where I feel so safe. So I believe we have to strip ourselves bare of a blind sense of patriotism wherever we're from, and open our hearts up and try to respect people as human beings. And I don't believe in left and right, I believe in right and wrong. You know, I believe humbly that I don't believe in power. I don't believe that someone, as I said, is better because they're high up, and someone is worse off because they're a humble person who lives on the streets. Sometimes the homeless person is actually the most reverent person in the room. So you know, you just have to be open to beautiful experiences and be aware of abuses of power too. And I've had amazing times and horrific times wherever I've been.
This is Victor Murray. He was
Hello.
chosen to
Nice
work
to meet you.
with your image.
I'm very honoured to be the subject of, you know, particularly a young person. And, you know, I believe very strongly that you guys are the future. My generation hands the gauntlet to you guys and says, you're the next storytellers in society.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow.
Victor.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Very
That's
nice.
amazing. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
He's got
What are you intimidated for?
He's got a
Come and see me in New York. I'll show you around my studio.
I would love
Wow.
We'll have a cup of tea together and we'll talk.